when it came to actually like talking with these people in their fucking office and wearing a suit, I was like, oh, this is horrible. Like, no thank you. I used to play a lot of records, and like that's like wax is slang for records, and like a motif just like, you know, is the idea of something. It was kind of difficult, like being from Australia. Like I feel like it's a little bit of a disadvantage, because if you go out in LA, you can meet people when you're out socially as well, and like that can tie into your work. And in Australia, you're kind of isolated.
Hi, this is Lauren Engel. Today I'm here with Wax Motif.
Yo, what's up?
So you're born in, what, North Ryde, Sydney?
Yeah, it's like 30-40 minutes out of like the middle of the city.
But your parents were born in Hong Kong, or?
Yeah, my mom was born in Hong Kong, my dad was born in Shanghai, but they met in Australia. Like they both immigrated to Australia and met there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like for school or like what?
My dad, just like his family moved there, and my mom moved for school, but she was working, her sneaky trick was she was working at TSA in Hong Kong.
Oh.
So like she was able to transfer like really easy because she worked at like immigration in Hong Kong basically. And then yeah, she went to school in Australia for a bit.
For you growing up in Sydney in North Ryde, was there like an Asian population or?
Yeah, it's like pretty big in like my suburb.
Oh, so you had no problems fitting in or like culture?
I guess, like in one sense, yeah, but I mean the high school I went to was like a super white like private school, so like it's kind of weird, like I guess 9 to 5 you'd be at this like, you know, in this private school world, and then from like 6 till all night you'd go home and back to the suburbs, and like you'd be, I don't know, around all the other public school like ethnic kids and stuff, so it was like a mixed life, I guess.
How strong was like the Chinese culture growing up in your household?
It's pretty strong. Like my parents speak Chinese at home, so I can understand it really well, even though it's like hard for me to speak because, you know, I don't get enough practice. But I can like understand Cantonese pretty fluently, so I can. Oh my god!
Then I can just talk to you, and you have to respond in English to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like my friends used to hear my mom talk, and like because I can hear both languages, so to me it sounds like the one thing, but to them they'd be like, how come only half the words your mum says are in English? And I'm like, oh, it makes sense to me, but I just don't think about it like that.
Same.
Yeah.
But what careers were they in the end when you were growing up?
My mum's in early childhood, and my dad's in construction.
Oh.
Builder. Yeah. So pretty hands-on work.
Where do you get your creative side from then?
I don't know. That's a pretty good question, actually. That's a pretty good question. I guess part of it is just watching my parents grind so hard, and like kind of come from a more analytical side of thinking, where if you like put in those hours, you get that money from that work or whatever. So I guess for me, it was nice to kind of find a life where it wasn't so analytics driven, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like go to work and get paid. It's just a bit more creative and a bit more free.
How do you describe yourself back then growing up?
I don't know. I guess awkward, maybe. Like, I think it just took a while to like feel comfortable in like my own skin and kind of just become the person I am now. So yeah.
Did you like school though?
Not really, nah. I fucking hated it. I mean, it wasn't like the best academically, and I don't know, I just felt like there was more to learn outside of the classroom, personally, so.
Did you drift closer to like the creative subjects in high school? Like, did you like music and stuff?
Yeah, I always did. Like, I remember I wanted to take art one year, my mom wouldn't let me. And like my art teacher was like, you should let him take art, like he's really good at drawing and stuff. And I was like, nah, if it's not like English or maths or like, he's not taking it. So I always was kind of creative, but I guess I just never really found the right like outlet for it growing up. So.
But what did you do like after school or like in your free time back then?
So basically after high school, I like had to go to college.
Yeah, you did like econ.
Yeah, I did economics. And I mean, college in Australia isn't like in America where you're like saddled with heaps of debt. Like you can go to college.
Oh yeah.
And you know, the government will like, you know, pay for a lot of it. So they were like, look, you got in, you got to go. So I'd go to class, and then kind of in between classes when I started DJing and buying records and just kind of getting into it.
Yeah. Do you remember the first CD you bought?
Yeah, actually, it was like Blink-182 Dude Ranch. Because, like, I mean, I wasn't even really into music then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like the very first CD I ever bought, probably that. Like, back when I really didn't have any real musical tastes, but I like Blink-182, so, like, that's not horrible.
How did you get from that to like hip hop? Because you like Indie Club, like Juicy.
I don't know how I transitioned. I guess like friends just started showing me more music, and like, you know, LimeWire and BearShare and stuff were like happening then. So downloading music was like pretty rampant and easy.
You didn't even like hip hop initially, right?
No, I don't think
so. It took
so.
you a while to realize and come around to it.
Yeah, I think before like 14, I didn't really have any musical taste. Like, it was just kind of whatever was on the radio, you know? And then as I started getting more music, I started kind of finding more artists. And then I think it was like Notorious B.I.G., who's like, you know, my favorite, basically. I started getting his songs, and that was it. That was a wrap.
Did you play some instruments growing up?
No, I didn't. I like played keys for a little bit, but it was pretty hard to get me to sit down and like keep learning it. So I just gave up after a while, and then just played sport. I ran around outdoors a lot.
Oh, what was like? At what age did you start to develop, put more time into music?
It actually was pretty late. Like, it wouldn't have been till really I was like 23, because that was kind of when I was in college and like really starting to try and DJ a lot and like make music. And yeah, so about 23, like maybe like just before the end of college.
Yeah.
I mean, before then I'd like dabbled around, but I didn't own like turntables or CDJs or anything until I was like 21. Yeah.
What were you into before that? Like, were you like really into sports, like training all the time, or like how were you using your time?
By then I was just like into just partying and traveling and stuff. I guess like most kids finish high school at 18, and you can start drinking legally at 18. So everybody starts going out then, and traveling as well, because we live so far. Like, basically every young Australian goes traveling for a long amount of time.
Like outside of Australia?
Yeah.
To Bali?
Yeah.
I know it.
Everywhere.
The Australians love Bali.
Yeah, they love Bali. But I mean, there's Australians everywhere. Like, if you go to Whistler, you know, there's always a bunch. So a lot of those like 18 to 22, 23, I was just like partying and traveling and just trying to like work out what I was going to do with my life, you know.
What school did you go to?
College?
Yeah.
I went to Macquarie University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, at that time, you got to remember, I kind of thought I was just going to be an accountant or like work in finance, you know. So I really wasn't even thinking like, oh, I can live off music and just do this for a job.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
I actually studied abroad in Sydney.
Oh yeah, where at?
University of Sydney.
Oh, that's the good one.
Oh my god.
That's where my little sister went. That's like the one.
What did she study?
She? Oh, she's like the smart one. She did like double degree.
Oh my god.
Engineering and science. Like, and she's a grade 9 pianist. Like, she's insane.
Yeah.
She was the one that I think when my parents realized I was the dud, they just like, you know what I mean? They pushed all the energy onto her. They put all the pressure on her, and like she came through. So yeah.
And then, like, you graduated, and then you were like telling your parents they were gonna like have a year off and try to figure it out.
Yeah, because I started doing interviews and they all sucked. Like, I cannot explain it. Like, being in the classroom, I didn't mind learning about it. When it came to actually like talking with these people in their fucking office and wearing a suit, I was like, oh, this is horrible. Like, no thank you. Like, I did one interview at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I was like, nah, I'm fucking out of here. And basically got a job at a bar and started DJing in that bar like every night of the week as well, and like working in the office in the daytime. And just told my parents, like, just give me a year to kind of, I'm gonna live downtown in Sydney and like work in this bar and try and DJ and try and make it work. And they were like, yeah, okay. I mean, you graduated, so what else can we do now, I guess.
Oh yeah.
How
were you like living? Was that paying like all your bills? Like, is that how you were?
Nah, back then it was just like, just surviving. So just paying my rent, my bills.
Yeah.
A little bit of food, but yeah, nothing crazy. I like didn't go out a lot because I was just at home, like on Ableton all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can ask like any of my friends from high school, they'll tell you like, I kind of stopped going out for a while just to like make music and focus on music.
Wow. What was like, was there a turning point that you instantly became so fascinated in music? Because it's kind of like a 360. You weren't like completely into music growing up. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, probably a bit to do with that was like smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's just like, I like making stuff when I'm high, and I like listening to music when I smoke weed. So I wouldn't say that's the exact point, but it kind of helped, like as like my interests and kind of I started developing into a human adult.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way I went, I guess.
Did you have a lot of music friends back then?
Nah, I had none.
Wow.
Yeah, there's nobody kind of in my friend group that's in music or is a DJ or anything. They were just, all my boys are just like, you're the one that does that. And like, they just play Xbox and like, I'd be there just DJing. So, yeah.
Did you have a moniker before Wax?
No, I didn't. I'm like, this is what you get, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't like a planned rollout project type deal, it's just me. That's just who I am, so.
How did you come up with the name again?
But I used to play a lot of records, and like that's like wax is slang for records, and like a motif just like is the idea of something. So I figured, yeah, hey, I'll always be playing records. So much for that. And I still have a shitload of records my mom's trying to get rid of. She's like, they're in my house, get them the fuck out. Yeah.
And then after, like, how long were you DJing the bar for, or doing that gig?
Oh, like ages. Sometimes when I'm back in Sydney, I'll still go and play there. But I was probably doing that for maybe 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't, that one bar was kind of like my residency spot. So, like, they'd also do pretty good nights. Like, What's So Not goes and plays there.
Oh.
So it's not like, I guess it, like back then especially, it was like the place. But I always kind of maintained the like shitty midweek bar stuff as I kept growing in those 4 years in Australia. So yeah, by the end I was kind of doing it all. Like I'd do the bar stuff, I'd go play the festival, like not in the same way I play a festival now. I would just be like opening for someone actually important. So yeah. But it was good practice.
And you were already putting out a lot of music on SoundCloud during the whole time?
Yeah, I kind of started. I think that like the first real one of any significance was called Go Deep. And that did really well. So I guess from there it kind of made me just want to put out more music because I saw like the payoff, the reward for it.
Were you already like getting a fan base first in Australia?
Yeah, a little bit. Again, I don't think it's anything like it is today. But I guess, yeah, there are definitely people that like are still fans of mine from then and still talk about stuff from then. So it's like I can kind of tell.
Were you getting your stuff out there initially through blogs or?
A little bit. It was kind of difficult, like being from Australia. Like I feel like it's a little bit of a disadvantage because if you go out in LA, you can meet people when you're out socially as well, and like that can tie into your work. And in Australia, you're kind of isolated. So, I was trying to, but it wasn't easy. I don't think. Not until like Australia really got the spotlight put on it, like Flume, for instance.
Yeah.
I feel like was a big turning point, and then it was kind of easy for Australians, but before then it's a little bit more difficult.
And what was your next big break after that?
I'd probably say like when a year after moving here, and me and Destructo are working a lot on his project, and you know, we kind of like started this whole G house thing with a few other people, and that's when I noticed like the shift into like now where people like identify with you more as an artist than just the nightclub DJ. I guess, like, you know, instead of just a DJ at whatever venue, like whatever bar, you're starting to get booked because people understand you have like a certain sound and want to see it. So yeah.
But you must have done a lot of stuff before you moved to LA, right? Because of visas and stuff.
Yeah, I did, but I feel like, again, it was all kind of just practice into like the main event, really, which is kind of now.
And it always clicked to you that you wanted to move to LA since the onset? Like that was your goal?
I definitely had that goal when I was super young. Like, I remember me and two of my friends made like a pact when we were like 18, and we were like, we're all gonna move to LA and be famous and shit. And like, I'm the only one that moved. I guess LA became like a real thing just because a lot of the dance music industry started shifting their focus here. And for me, I mean, I love LA, and obviously I like weed and rap music, so they're all here. But the weather's really similar to Sydney.
Yeah.
It's really a lot like Sydney. You got to drive everywhere. The weather's awesome. There's a lot of hills, and it's not difficult for me to live here and feel comfortable. So.
What was the like tween thing that happened that Noisy covered?
Oh yeah. They were just shitting on our genre. So I just basically, like, they said this girl, she made like a G house song or a hip hop record. Like, it just sounded like a DJ Mustard type record. But they said something about our genre, and like I basically took it upon myself to then remix that track into our actual something in our genre and then send it back to them. And I saw those guys a few weeks later, and they were just like, we were laughing about our like fake internet beef, so to speak. Well, yeah, semi-real, semi-fake, but it's all in good fun.
Yeah. Were you always conscious of the G house genre? Like, was this something that you were thinking about, like a name to label it, or? No,
I mean, to be honest, like the name actually just kind of came from the internet. I feel like it was just what it was labeled. To me, like, I think what we're doing is a new thing, but I think the ideas and the influences come from the years previous to that. So, I mean, any of that kind of fidget house, like the Crookers stuff. I mean, Crookers had songs with Khalees and Kid Cudi, and you know, putting urban artists onto house records. It's not a new concept. I feel like maybe we just revived it and kind of did it in like a really fresh way. So for me, I've always liked that stuff, like rap vocals on house records.
And from the onset, did you always want to be more of like a hip hop producer?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, that's what got me into producing, like seeing videos of, like music videos of Dr. Dre in the back of like a 50 Cent clip with like all the faders. And I still kind of work on a lot of rap stuff now, so I like to think I'm just a producer. That someone like Mark Ronson, who like, he can go work on like Lady Gaga, and then he can go make some like, I don't know, funky disco stuff or whatever. Like, I just feel like as long as I can make everything, I'll be like, you know, a Rick Rubin type producer who's just like good producer. Like, fuck the genre, you know.
Do you think early on you were ever like pigeonholed into more of the electronic scene, difficult to get into more of the hip hop rap? Yeah, really difficult. But now all the worlds are colliding, and I feel like rappers that work with like electronic producers actually can get an edge over their competition, you know. And it's pretty obvious with dudes like, you know, Catch Me Cat, who does a lot of Tory Lanez and The Weeknd, and I mean, Gesaffelstein and Skrillex worked on the new Weeknd album. So I don't know, I feel like we can be the secret sauce for people now, and I feel like the rate at which we produce is much quicker than people in other styles. So we can knock out really high quality songs pretty quick, and I think people, like artists, respond to that, the speed of like getting stuff back. How did you get into the rap scene initially in LA? Um, I guess a lot of it had to do with my publisher. They work with a lot of rap producers and rappers. And then I guess just generally just kind of hanging around. Like when I did the tour with GTA, we were with K Camp and Rich the Kid. And you just kind of meet people like that and just like stay in touch or don't. And yeah, kind of build your own little like network, I guess.
Did you have the same management as you did when you were in Australia, or is it different now?
No, I didn't have a manager in Australia. I don't know. I mean, a combination of not being ready and B, I don't think at the time Australia really had like great infrastructure for that sort of thing. So yeah, I was always self-managed basically until I moved here.
What clicked to you that you wanted a team by that point?
I don't think it's something I actively like tried to get so much as like when people started approaching me and I realized, oh, okay, you got to start giving away like 20% of your money to someone. No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It kind of became obvious, and from then, I guess I kind of like sought help. But before then, I always felt really comfortable just doing things myself. So yeah, I'd say get away with it for as long as you can before you need someone else interjecting and helping, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it can just cloud, it can just muddle your vision until you're like ready for that sort of thing, I feel like.
How about the transition to moving to LA with like types of people? Like, were you used to it, or was it kind of shocking?
That's pretty difficult, yeah. There's so many like subcultures in America, like Latinos and stuff, which we don't have in Australia. So it's different in that respect.
Same for Hong Kong.
Yeah. So different in that respect, but everything else pretty easy.
Yeah. The types of the people in the music scene are also kind of similar, or?
I mean, they're definitely more forward-thinking here. I feel like the competition's pretty hard here, and like it makes people kind of feel the need to stand out more in general, like, you know, acting, music, like even if you're a pop star. Australia is like has that, but kind of not as much. I feel like it's, I don't know, to like stand out so much is maybe not the best thing in Australia, but I don't know. It's I guess just different cultures.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything malicious or conscious. I think it's just the way the people are, you know.
How did you meet like Ty Dolla Sign and Young Thug?
Oh, okay. A lot of that was through like Gary Destructo. So when we were working on his project, and basically we ended up going to Ty's house twice to like record 2 different songs. And then I never actually met Young Thug, but I did a remix for him. But I met like YG and like Warren G, fucking Kevin Gates, like a bunch of those people.
Was it difficult starting to do sessions with more rappers? Like, is it different, the type of sessions, to like more pop people, or?
Yeah, I think it's different. Like, you know, they're usually like late. so you have to be prepared for like, a bit of a time challenge. I think it's different, almost easier in a way, because I feel like with songwriting, because the writer's not really writing for themselves, sometimes you kind of need to interject on the lyrics and stuff. But if I'm working with a rapper, like, you just let them rap their verse or rap their chorus, you know? It's like, you don't need my input, because like, you kind of know the vibe you want. So it's a little easier in that respect, but a little kind of like a little bit more difficult personalities to kind of juggle sometimes.
How did you meet the Mad Decent people?
That's a good question. I guess I probably met like Diplo first, just kind of playing different places like around the world. Like, I think the first time I probably met him was in Berlin a few years ago. And then from there, it just kind of, it wasn't really until I signed my EP, my first EP over there. And we just did that through like management roads and emails. And then after that, I kind of went over there and met everyone.
How has your relationship with them changed over time?
It's cool. I mean, I guess it's kind of been the same. If anything, it's probably gotten stronger. You know, and the more stuff I've done there, and the more kind of welcoming they've been, and the more, really chill. Like, I love all the guys like Jasper and Paul and Nikki and stuff.
How do you think your music has changed since the early songs you made?
I think it's gotten more professional sounding for sure. And maybe kind of a little less wild in some of the ideas.
Why is that?
I guess just when you're at the start, you're so experimental, and I mean, weird that can definitely be a good thing, but you know, too weird can also be a bad thing. So I guess when you're first starting, you're just making the craziest ideas possible, and now I'm trying to like get a good mix where, you know, I can have a well-written song, but it's still interesting. I don't think it needs to be all like crazy fucking lasers and shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you can like have a cool song with a really nice drop, and it's still hard and banging, but also a really good song. So,
What do your parents think of your career now?
they're pretty stoked actually,
Yeah?
which is cool.
How did you convince them over time?
I don't actually. You know what convinces all Asian parents is that you don't need money.
Oh,
You don't need their
yeah.
money. So,
You show your invoices?
yeah.
Here.
So like, they know I'm paying my rent, paying my car. Like, they know I'm good. So it's like, yeah, I'm chilling. And I brought them to a show before, so I played.
That always helps.
Yeah.
When they see your audience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my mom now, like, she follows my Twitter. Like, she follows me on Twitter and Instagram, and she'll message me about things like the minute they go up.
Oh, wow.
So I know she's checking it like a lot. I don't know if she's checking just to see I'm alive or not, or like whether she cares, but she's interested enough to like talk to me about my career. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're cool with it. You know.
How do you think you've grown as a person since when you started?
Oh man, I grown so much. I feel like I'm calmer. I feel like when you're young, it's easy to get really emotional about things, and we work in an industry where it's like friends and business, and you know, sometimes business decisions aren't the same as friend decisions, and it's easy to get wrapped up. And now I'm like, wait, like no drama in my life, you know what I mean? The minute something comes along that's stressful, I feel like I know how to deal with it way better than when I used to. So yeah, it's chill. Just calm and wiser.
What would you say have been your biggest challenges so far? Could be personal life or music, up to you.
I guess the initial move here is probably the biggest one, because nothing we did in Australia really mattered. So after a while of moving here, I kind of realized it was basically starting over again, except in an industry which is much bigger, and you know, it's way more competitive, so people look at it as like you're taking their jobs essentially. And so that initial move, that first year, was really tough for me, just to kind of, you know, find the people you're meant to hang around with and get established, and you know, you're spending all the money you saved to move on rent because you're not getting that many shows yet, and so that initial period was super difficult.
Yeah, actually, how were you able to support yourself financially when you first moved here?
I wasn't really able to be honest. Like, after a while, I just like ran out of cash, and I had basically all my shit in my car, like sleeping in my car and shit.
Oh, wow.
And then my friend got back from Europe and like basically had a guest room and was like, yeah, I'll let you stay here for like $500 a month or whatever. And so I was just scrapping, basically.
Did you work other jobs?
I didn't work other jobs, but I made music for and with other people as my
Oh.
job, yeah. So I'd like do production stuff or just whatever, like sell beats. Like, I remember selling like a bunch of beats. So kind of whatever I could do without having to like leave this profession. Yeah, and eventually, like, you know, I started paying him $500 a month, and by the end I was paying him like $2,000 a month. And yeah, now I like renting my own place, and I got a car and shit. So
Oh, you're like smiling just thinking about
Yeah,
your success.
dude.
I love that.
it's chill, you know. 'Cause like, I don't know, I didn't need the bailout to get here, you know. So that feels good.
What does success look like to you?
This baby, look at it.
I love that.
I think it can look like anything. Like, I mean, you know, obviously, don't get me wrong, I like to have like more money than I know how to spend, and, you know, beautiful kids and healthy family and shit. But I mean, really, like, I feel pretty successful now, just to be able to live off this for as long as I have. So fuck it.
Yeah.
It's like looking at it. Yeah.
What does love mean to you?
That's a weird one. I still haven't worked that one out. I don't know, to be honest.
Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to, I don't know, I feel like, you know, being a man of your word is like a pretty important thing. So I just want to be remembered as being like a stand-up guy. You know, a solid dude. Like, didn't do anything dirty to get to where I am, and like kept my word along the way, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good thing.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries, thanks.